Little Bangladesh means to show that we are seen, that we are heard, and that we are here.
73rd Street, Jackson Heights, Queens. Below the elevated subway tracks, the smell of fresh fuchka drifts from a sidewalk cart. A pawn stall that never closes is still serving customers at 3 in the morning. A bakery sells warm butter buns and mishti to families who drive across New York because nowhere else tastes quite like home. In a basement mosque, Friday prayers spill onto the sidewalk. And on the second floor above it all, a tax office welcomes another first-generation immigrant looking for help navigating a new life. The man behind the desk is Monir Ahmed. He came from Jamurki village in Mirzapur, Tangail district, a place so specific that most Americans would need several maps to find it. Trained as an accountant, he arrived in one of the world's great financial capitals. Since 2008, he has watched the same story unfold across the desks of thousands of Bangladeshi immigrants. He describes it with the precision of someone who has witnessed it again and again. For us first-generation immigrants, the challenge is enormous. No matter how educated you are in Bangladesh, there's a language barrier here. You look around in a daze and suddenly realize 10 years have passed, and a huge chunk of your life is gone. For almost everyone, the plan begins the same way. Work, save, go home. But while individuals were busy building their lives, something else was quietly taking shape around them. Businesses opened, neighborhoods grew, children were raised, communities took root. And before anyone realized it, New York had become home. Monir Ahmed is not a pessimist. He is a witness. He has watched a community arrive believing America would be temporary, only to build something permanent. Across the Hudson River, a mother and daughter are quietly changing how America understands Bangladeshi food. In Brooklyn, the daughter of Bangladeshi immigrants has helped place the words "Little Bangladesh" onto New York's street signs. And across Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, thousands of families have built neighborhoods where Bangla is heard as naturally as English. That is the story of this episode. Today, more than 100,000 Bangladeshis live across New York City's 5 boroughs, a population that has more than tripled over the past 2 decades. They came from Dhaka, Sylhet, Chittagong, Tangail, and villages whose names most New Yorkers have never heard. They drove yellow cabs, worked in restaurants, warehouses, factories, and grocery stores. They opened sweet shops, tax offices, supermarkets, and family businesses. They built mosques in basements, raised children who would become elected officials, and transformed entire commercial streets into places where Bangla is heard as often as English. Every year, they also send billions of dollars back to Bangladesh, supporting families and helping shape the country's economy while building new lives in New York. Journalist Tinku Chowdhury described Jackson Heights this way.
Jackson Heights
is not just a neighborhood. For Bangladeshis living in New York, it is a piece of Bangladesh where culture, heritage, language, and ways of life are preserved. But Jackson Heights is only the beginning. The story stretches across Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and beyond. A network of neighborhoods connected not only by geography, but by language, faith, family, food, and memory. Tonight, we travel from the sidewalks of 73rd Street in Jackson Heights to Kensington's Little Bangladesh, from neighborhood mosques to New York City Hall, from a second-floor tax office to a James Beard-nominated kitchen, to discover how Bangladeshi immigrants built one of the most self-sufficient and least understood communities in America. A story about migration, identity, memory, belonging, and how more than 100,000 Bangladeshis quietly built an invisible city inside New York. This is the human map, because when people move, the map moves with them. Subscribe and explore the communities, cultures, and hidden networks quietly reshaping our world. Walk south from the Roosevelt Avenue subway station in Jackson Heights, and within a single block, the city begins to change. The storefronts switch to Bangla. The smell of fuchka, crispy shells filled with spiced potatoes and chickpeas, finished with tamarind water, floats from sidewalk carts. A man in a lungi counts change outside a jewelry store. Two women in colorful salwar kameez compare fabrics in a boutique window. Somewhere nearby, a pawn stall is open. It will still be open at 3 in the morning. That stall belongs to Farooq Ahmed. He came from Shariatpur district 8 years ago and runs one of the neighborhood's few truly 24-hour businesses, selling betel leaf, cigarettes, and small everyday necessities. When asked why he never closes, his answer is as simple as the street itself.
24 hours.
দেখেন 24 hours খোলা পাবেন জ্যাকসন হেডে আসবেন মানে সিটি নেভার স্লিপস ভাই পান বানান
That is the philosophy of this neighborhood in just 8 words. Today, 73rd Street is officially co-named Bangladesh Street, a recognition earned after decades of community building. Together with nearby 74th Street and Diversity Plaza, the corridor forms one of the most important Bangladeshi commercial centers outside South Asia. More than 160 languages are spoken around Diversity Plaza, but on these few blocks, Bangla often dominates everyday conversation. Beneath Chef's Mahal sits Manan Discount Store, a neighborhood institution operating since 1996. Mohammed Lutfur Rahman Khan arrived from Rupganj, Narayanganj, on March 27, 2005, a date he still remembers exactly. Today, he duplicates apartment keys for $2 each, while selling everything from Bodno water pitchers to spades and electrical adapters made for Bangladeshi outlets. Small objects, the hardware of a double life. A few doors away, a shopper named Bishwajit, originally from Habiganj and living in New York for 6 years, stops inside a bakery for something remarkably ordinary, a butter bun. His explanation captures immigrant nostalgia better than almost anything else in this story. I bought this butter bun because it reminded me of home. Back when I was a student in Bangladesh, I used to buy and eat butter buns. It's the exact same memory. Food is memory, and on these streets, memory is everywhere. At Premium Sweets, shelves are filled with mishti doi, rosogola, sandesh, gur sandesh, and kala jamun. These are more than desserts. They are gifts carried to Eid celebrations, weddings, family visits, naming ceremonies, and holidays. In Bangladeshi culture, you don't arrive empty-handed. You bring sweets. Street vendors prepare fuchka and chalmuri, tossing puffed rice with mustard oil, onions, green chilies, and spices, while sugarcane juice is pressed fresh beside them. Local guide Arif, who introduces many visitors to the neighborhood, explains why places like these matter.
I guess in New York City, it around 75,000 of Bengali people.
How important do you think it is having bakeries like this, restaurants like this, to your community?
It's very important. It doesn't really give you the feels that you are away from home.
Just upstairs from the shops, Masjid Darul Hidayah has served the neighborhood since around 2000. Friday prayers fill the mosque so completely that worshippers often spill onto the sidewalk. But like many immigrant institutions, it is much more than a place of worship. Nearby, Graphics World prints passport photos and community banners in Bangla. Monir Ahmed's tax office sits upstairs. Apartment listings are pinned to bulletin boards near the entrance. A newcomer arriving from JFK can step off the 7 train, walk into this neighborhood, and within a single afternoon find a mosque, a meal, a room to rent, someone who speaks Bangla, advice about taxes, and even the key to a new apartment, without speaking a single word of English. The same pattern appears elsewhere across the city. A Dhaka Suites employee in nearby Jamaica explains why so many families choose to settle near one another.
We started living here, so it's like a friendly community right now because all the stores are here, and mostly they are Muslim, so they're mosque and they're very convenient.
That is the quiet strength of New York's Bangladeshi community. It did not wait for someone else to build the institutions immigrants needed. It built them itself. And it built them so completely that the real question is no longer whether this invisible city exists, but why so few New Yorkers outside the community even know it's here. Local guide Nikita, who has watched Jackson Heights evolve over the years, has seen the neighborhood change with it.
You know, back in the days, a lot of Indians came here. Eventually they moved, most of them moved to Edison, and now a huge influx of Bangladeshis and Nepalis are coming in, and they have incredible food here.
Jackson Heights was once simply another immigrant neighborhood. Then it became South Asian. Today, along its busiest streets, it has become unmistakably and proudly Bangladeshi. But as it turns out, Bangladesh in New York isn't confined to one neighborhood. To understand the full map, we have to leave Jackson Heights behind. Little Bangladesh is not Jackson Heights. That is the first correction the community itself makes. Jackson Heights is the commercial and cultural heart, the place people shop, meet friends, celebrate holidays, and introduce newcomers to New York. But the Bangladeshi community does not live in one neighborhood. It lives across a network stretching through 4 boroughs, expanding outward as housing became more expensive and families searched for new places to settle. As one Bangladeshi traveler observed after exploring the city's diaspora communities, when people think of Little Bangladesh in New York, the main focus is Jackson Heights, but it should be connected to Jamaica and McDonald Avenue in Brooklyn. That is also a big hub. Jamaica Queens became one of those new hubs. Centered around Hillside Avenue and 169th Street, it grew into both a residential neighborhood and a thriving commercial district as more Bangladeshi families moved east. Here, the anchor is food. Carwan Supermarket stocks fresh goat meat, imported Hilsa fish, block ghee, mustard oil, banana flowers, and the ingredients needed to recreate kitchens thousands of miles away. Gora Sweets serves goat curry and bitter melon. At Dhaka Sweets, cooks prepare breads inside traditional tandoor ovens while seasoning curries the way they learned at home, not by measuring spoons, but by instinct, balancing cardamom, cinnamon, turmeric, and cloves by sight and experience. A full meal still costs around $9. Across the East River, another chapter of the story unfolds. Kensington, Brooklyn is where the community's political journey is written most visibly. At the intersection of McDonald Avenue and Church Avenue, the street signs now read Little Bangladesh. The designation, championed by New York City Council member Shahana Hanif, was not simply a ceremonial gesture. It recognized 4 to 5 decades of working-class Bangladeshi families who quietly built lives, businesses, and neighborhoods long before the city officially acknowledged them. Shahana Hanif knows that story personally. Born and raised in Kensington to Bangladeshi immigrant parents, she attended local public schools before graduating from Brooklyn College. After being diagnosed with lupus at 17, she became a community organizer and later traveled to Bangladesh to strengthen her Bangla so she could better communicate with the very community she hoped to represent. In 2021, she became the first Bangladeshi, the first Muslim woman, and the first South Asian person ever elected to the New York City Council. She still lives in the same neighborhood where she grew up. At the Little Bangladesh Street co-naming ceremony, she explained what that sign meant. Then she reflected on the generations who made it possible.
40, 50 years, this community has fought as working class folks to build a life of security and dignity. And so this is an honor of their love of the city, their hard work in the city, and the fights to come.
Little Bangladesh means, in this moment, in this time, is in so many ways progress. Progress in making the little details that matter, right? The little details that show that we are seen, that we are heard, and that we are here.
The story doesn't end there. On March 10th, 2023, another street received a new name. At the intersection of Drew Street and 101st Avenue in Ozone Park, the city officially unveiled Little Bangladesh Way, a designation timed just before Ramadan and Bangladesh Independence Day. The legislation, introduced by Councilwoman Joanne Areola, recognized another fast-growing Bangladeshi neighborhood in Queens. Community activist Japneet Singh captured why these signs matter.
Community activist Japneet Singh said in a Facebook post, "For some, it may just be a street sign, but for sons, daughters, and descendants of immigrants, this is so much more than that. This is about finally being seen. This is about finally being heard. This is about finally being recognized."
Councilwoman Areola added,
She said, "The street naming really comes on the backs of the hardworking people of the community. It's their hard work and dedication and sense of becoming part of America that made it possible."
And farther north, beneath the elevated subway tracks of the Northeast Bronx, another Bangladeshi corridor continues to grow. Around Parkchester and Castle Hill, halal grocers stand beside Pakistani bakeries, Yemeni bodegas, and Mexican panaderias. As housing prices climbed in Queens, many working-class families moved here, extending the community even farther across the city. A first-generation Bangladeshi-American creator described the neighborhood simply.
This is northeast Bronx, where there's a lot of Bengali people, a lot of Desi people. So Desi people are Pakistanis, Indians, and Bengali. So there's also Arab people here.
That is why Little Bangladesh cannot be understood as a single neighborhood. It is a network, a city connected by subway lines, family ties, neighborhood mosques, grocery stores, community organizations, and a shared language carried from one borough to the next. And while these neighborhoods built a home away from home, another question remained unresolved. If Bangladesh existed here, why did so much of America still mistake Bangladeshi culture for something else?
Karai Kitchen is a Bangladeshi restaurant in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Nuri Gulshan Rahman, everyone simply calls her Amma, immigrated to Jersey City from Bangladesh 38 years ago. For decades, she cooked only for family, for neighbors, for anyone who happened to gather around her table. Opening a restaurant never crossed her mind. Then, at the age of 61, she did. Together with her daughter, Nuri Farhana Rahman, she opened Karai Kitchen in 2018. They had no restaurant background, no celebrity investors, no corporate support, and no professional culinary training. They simply served the food Amma had spent a lifetime cooking at home. Bortas, mashed vegetables and fish eaten by hand, slow-cooked curries, hilsa, rohu, and traditional weekend dawat feasts. Outside the restaurant, a sign made their mission unmistakably clear: no chicken tikka masala. Farhana remembers the first customers walking through the door.
And when we open this restaurant, everybody comes inside. Oh, you don't have chicken tikka masala. You don't have chicken tikka masala. Then we have to explain them. This is the Bangladeshi restaurant.
It's just not what this place is about.
Right, exactly.
The misunderstanding wasn't limited to customers. It was built into the platforms meant to help restaurants reach them. When Korai Kitchen joined food delivery apps, they discovered there wasn't even a category for Bangladeshi cuisine. Farhana recalls what happened next.
We started doing delivery, and Uber Eats, there was no category for Bangladeshi. They tried to put this under Indian food. No, we asked them to add a category for us. Yelp, there was no category for Bangladeshi. We asked them to add a category. So that's when it became something bigger than my mom's food. I mean, we realized that there really was such a lack of representation.
Rather than accept it, they challenged it. Eventually, the platforms created a dedicated Bangladeshi/Bengali category. What began as one family's restaurant became part of a larger fight for cultural recognition. Not long afterward, Korai Kitchen received a James Beard Award nomination, becoming one of the first Bangladeshi restaurants in America to earn national recognition on that scale. The distinction matters. Bangladesh and India share centuries of history, British colonial rule, the partition of 1947, and the Bengali language. But Bangladeshi cuisine is not simply another version of Indian food. It has its own identity, its own techniques, its own flavors. It leans heavily on mustard oil rather than ghee. It celebrates river fish, especially hilsa, Bangladesh's national fish, prepared in countless regional styles. Meals revolve around rice, dal, borta, vegetables, and fresh fish harvested from the Ganges-Brahmaputra Delta, traditions that long predate modern national borders. Food is never just food. It carries history, memory, identity. For Amma, however, success isn't measured by awards. It's measured by something much quieter.
My guests, they love my food. Sometimes they start hugging me and crying, oh, I feel like my grandma's food.
What does that mean to you?
It means everything, everything. I feel like I'm successful here.
The same story repeats across New York. Dhaka Suites in Jamaica, Premium Suites in Jackson Heights, Boithokana, whose name literally means drawing room, the traditional gathering space inside a Bangladeshi home. Each one serves more than meals. They preserve memory. They create places where people don't simply eat. They reconnect with family traditions, childhood flavors, and a country that may now be thousands of miles away. Together, they make the same quiet argument. Bangladeshi cuisine is not a footnote to someone else's story. It is its own culinary tradition, its own history, its own identity. And after decades of being grouped together under broader South Asian labels, it is finally beginning to be recognized on its own terms. Journalist Kiran, originally from Comilla, understands that evolution better than most. After spending 32 years in the United States, including time working for both The Voice of America and the BBC, he reflects not on what he left behind, but on what he found. I spent the golden period of my life here. I lived and worked alongside Black, white, Jewish, and diverse communities. If I ever had to leave permanently, I would miss it deeply. It's part of my life. Perhaps that is the most honest version of the immigrant story. Not, I came and I never looked back, but I came, I stayed, I built a life, and now both places belong to me. Yet even after building businesses, neighborhoods, and an identity of their own, one question still remains. What happens when a community that planned to stay only temporarily realizes it has quietly become permanent? There is a version of the immigration story where the immigrant arrives, struggles, succeeds, and assimilates. The American dream narrative. A clean arc, a clear ending. The Bangladeshi New York story is more complicated than that. Monir Ahmed sits in his tax office and watches the decades pass in the faces across the table. He watches people who arrived with credentials, engineers, accountants, teachers, spend their first years in kitchens and factory shifts because the language barrier made those qualifications invisible. He watches the 5-year plan become a 10-year plan, and the 10-year plan become a lifetime. He watches the dream of returning home get postponed, first because the children start school here, then because aging parents need care, then because the healthcare system here simply offers opportunities they cannot easily find back in Tangale or Sylhet. The community cemeteries grow, he has noticed. The second generation experiences this paradox differently. Many describe 73rd Street as the one place in the city where they never have to explain themselves, where the food is familiar, the language feels natural, and nobody asks where they are really from. Composite character based on multiple second-generation experiences. That quiet sense of belonging is exactly what the street signs began to formalize. You do not have to justify your existence in a place that already has your name on the corner. And yet the connection to Bangladesh never disappears. It continues to flow in both directions. The Bangladeshi diaspora in the United States sends approximately $3 to $4 billion home every year in remittances, helping pay for school fees in Dhaka, medicine in Chittagong, groceries in Mirzapur, and countless everyday expenses across the country. The work happens in New York. The money goes home. The responsibility travels both ways. The Bangladeshi American community has also built institutions to strengthen those economic ties. The American Bangladeshi Business Alliance, ABBA, hosts an annual business summit at the LaGuardia Marriott in Queens, bringing together entrepreneurs, business leaders, and community organizations to build trade, mentorship, and investment networks across the diaspora. The event opens with a recitation from the Quran and carries the formality of a Chamber of Commerce conference. The community is no longer just building restaurants and grocery stores. It is building a business class. Today, Bengali is the 6th most spoken language in New York City. A community that began arriving in significant numbers during the 1970s and grew rapidly through the 1980s and 1990s, particularly through the diversity visa lottery, has become a permanent, deeply rooted, institutionally organized part of New York itself. And the children born here are learning what that permanence means. They speak Bangla at home and English everywhere else. They eat bhorta with their hands at the kitchen table and pizza on the subway platform. They carry 2 countries at the same time. And in places like 73rd Street, Jamaica, Kensington, and the Northeast Bronx, they can set one down for a moment and simply be where they are. Evening settles over 73rd Street. Farooq Ahmed's pawn stall is open. It will be open at midnight. It will still be open at 3 a.m. Monir Ahmed locked his tax office 2 hours ago, but tomorrow morning he'll unlock it again. The questions will be the same: how to file, what to claim, whether this is finally the year someone can think about going home. He will answer carefully. He has seen how the years go. In Jersey City, Amma is finishing service at Korai Kitchen. Someone cried at their table again tonight because the food tasted like a grandmother they haven't seen in years. In Kensington, the street where Shahana Hanif grew up has a sign on it now: Little Bangladesh. She helped put it there. In Ozone Park, in Jamaica, in the Northeast Bronx, the community that built all of this is simply going about the business of an ordinary Tuesday night. Groceries, homework, evening prayers. the smell of mustard oil drifting from an open kitchen window. More than 100,000 people. The pawn seller who never closes, the tax preparer who watches the decades pass in other people's faces, the shopper who found his student years inside a butter bun, the woman who started cooking professionally at 61 and earned a James Beard nomination, the journalist from Comilla who spent the golden years of his life alongside every community New York contains and can no longer imagine leaving, the daughter of Bangladeshi immigrants who became the first Muslim woman ever elected to the New York City Council, and the street signs: Bangladesh Street, Little Bangladesh, Little Bangladesh Way. Names that took 40 to 50 years of working-class labor to earn. Community activist Japneet Singh said it for all of them during the Ozone Park ceremony.
Activist Japneet Singh said in a Facebook post, for some, it may just be a street sign, but for sons, daughters, and descendants of immigrants, this is so much more than that. This is about finally being seen. This is about finally being heard. This is about finally being recognized.
The map has their names on it now. This is the human map. Because when people move, the map moves with them. And in New York, the Bangladeshis named the streets. Subscribe and explore the communities, cultures, and hidden networks quietly reshaping the world.